This section of the presentation is going to be on understanding the meditative part of yoga. Whether you are in the pose and taking that meditation into an actual meditative practice. So while doing asanas, what is this that we are focusing on and what is going on in the body? Now I want to set a basis for understanding this, and it's very crucial that we follow and understand this part of our body, the way yoga looks at, the way yoga studies anatomy is very different from what medical anatomy is. Today if you see yoga anatomy and go Google, they will give you exactly what even medical anatomy is talking about. How is that different from yoga anatomy? But that is not how it is. And that's sports anatomy. When you're doing a particular asanas, which muscles are being used, where, what is being flexed and what is being, all of that is basic common sense part of it. Deeper inside, the way yoga looks at your body, the way Hatha Yoga looks at your body is not necessarily muscles and bones at all. That is not the approach they have taken. How they approach it is your body comprises of 5 elements. 5 elements that is responsible in the creation is what has created your body. And the imbalance in these 5 elements is what's causing diseases in your body. The imbalance of these 5 elements is what is causing physical aches and pains and all. And so the aim of yoga therefore is to bring all these 5 elements back into state of balance. Now Ayurveda approaches it from the 3 doshas point of view. Right? They are linked with Hatha Yoga, but I won't talk about Ayurveda there, because in Hatha Yoga, through practice, through asanas, through mudras and bandhas, and we're going to touch upon some of these now in the course of meditation, we're going to understand how to bring these elements back into a state of balance. And therein lies the secret and the greatest power of yoga. Now all that can be realized only with regular practice. So don't try it once and say, nothing's working for me. It won't. So how do we understand? So let's set up a theoretical basis for this. Okay. Now we have 5 elements that comprise our human body, right? And these 5 elements are, we start with earth, water, fire, wind, and space. So you have Prithvi, Jala, Tejas or Agni, then you have Vayu, and you have Akasha. So these are the 5 elements. Now in your body, if you analyze this, I don't know if I discussed this last time when I was here, but then it's worthwhile touching it again. So below your waist is predominantly earth, because it's pure muscle and bone. Predominantly. I mean, earth is everywhere, in the skin and bones everywhere, but predominantly, if there's a capital of earth in your body, it's located waist and below. Right? That is your earth element. And then you have water element. Water element is in the area of kidneys, urinary bladder, all of this. This is your water element. Correct? Then you have Agni element. The fire element is in your digestive tract. The digestive juices, the acidity here. This is your fire element. So if you have hyperacidity and all that, is because your fire element is in a state of imbalance. How to bring that back into balance is what you need to see. Then you have the wind element, which is the chest. And then you have space, which is in the throat. Why space here? Because sound. Sound happens in space, right? So sound here. Then you have wind. Then you have fire. And you have water and earth. Now this is again now a mix of all. This is what is happening in the body. So in addition to these 5 elements, you have something called, this is one way of looking at the anatomical part. I mean, we call it yoga anatomy. Don't take the word anatomy literally, because it means different in a medical terminology. Yoga looks at the body as a collection of 5 elements. Now, how these 5 elements are distributed and how are they functional in the body is because there are 5 other pressures that are created. They're called 5 vayus, 5 airs, if you will. There's no proper translation, so let's call it vayu. Vayu means wind. Something like an atmospheric pressure inside your body, right? There are 5 kinds of pressures that are exerted in your body that functions with these, in collaboration with these 5 elements. This basic, if you understand, then we'll be able to understand pranayama, meditation, Hatha Yoga practice and all of that. Okay. So now that we've got a fairly decent idea of these 5 elements, earth, water, fire, when Krishna says aham vaishvanaro bhutva, I am the fire in your belly, he's talking about that. Wind and space. There are 5 vayus, pancha vayus. There are 5 vayus that are working. What are they? The first one is called prana. This is not the prana as a life force that I talked earlier. It's one of the vayus, prana. It's like New York is a city, New York is also a state. So there are 2 kinds of prana. One is the mother prana the life force that we get from the sun and all. And this is prana as a vayu. Prana is what, when we inhale, when the prana is the air that moves upwards. Now what does this mean in terms of your everyday experience? When you feel optimistic, when you get up from a good night's sleep and you feel fresh and relaxed and you're ready to smile and say good morning, hopefully, when you are feeling in an upbeat mood, right? That is prana. When after meditation, after bhajans, or during a bhajan, you'll feel lifted and high, and you feel, oh, this is so beautiful, this bhajan is so nice, I feel so nice. That is prana working. That means it's moving upwards. In other words, because of the movement of air going up, your consciousness tends to go up along with it. You feel elated, you feel happy. Correct? That is prana vayu, moving upwards. There is apana vayu, the other exactly the opposite direction. Apana vayu is pressure that's pushing stuff downwards. Now we know what that means. We need to go to the bathroom. That is apana vayu in action. Now you can't eat when apana vayu is, you have to rush and relieve yourself. So apana vayu is the pressure that pushes the energy downwards. So now let's pause here for 2 seconds and watch what is happening. How does it work in elements? When water and earth are two things that always go with gravity, correct? They always go downwards. Water never goes up. Yes, there is a way to transform that direction or reverse that direction, but water and earth always goes down. So in water and earth always works with apana vayu and keeps going down. So the more the apana vayu is active, the more the consciousness is towards water and the earth elements. Anything that is heavy, anything that is slow, slows you down, that is the earth element. Whenever you're lazy, you may not have to be big and heavy as the earth. You could be slim, thin, but the fact that you're lazy, for example, guess what element is working? It's the earth element, because earth moves slowly. Earth element in collaboration with apana vayu brings, apana vayu is what activates the earth element. Apana vayu is what activates the water element. Okay? Now, that is apana vayu. And we learn how to reverse that flow. Then there is something called, the third one is called samana vayu. Samana, the word itself means something that distributes equally. Samana is like the switchboard in the house. Electricity comes, the city supplies you electricity. It comes to a switchboard, and from there it determines which point needs more, the microwave needs more, the plug point here doesn't need as much. The switchboard is designed to distribute it according, right? So Samana Vayu is one of the most important Vayu that's responsible for your health. And where is Samana Vayu? Samana is right in the center of your body. Along with the Agni, Samana works here. This is what determines when the food comes in, where it should go, where should the energy be distributed, how it should be distributed. So Samana comes here. That's why in the food prayer we say Prana, Apana, Samayuktaha. The Sama is when these two are equal here, and the Samana Vayu is active in Agni and you're feeling hungry, that's when you're supposed to eat food, correct? So anyway, so there is Samana Vayu that distributes all of this. That is the Agni element. And then there is the fourth one that's called Vyana. Vyana is Sarva Vyapudu, we say. Vyana means all pervasive. Vyana. What do you mean by all pervasive? Throughout the body, in central nervous system, the nerves, the nerve endings, all of them, the messages that are conveyed from the brains to the rest of the body, that is done through Vyana. Vyana Vayu is what takes your messages and conveys. So when we practice all these poses, we are actually, when we are talking to the extremes of our body, learning to bring back balances, what is happening? The brain is trying to control the messages, right, to the brain, to the body, and the body is sending message to the brain, so that message communication happens, and Vyana Vayu is once again brought into a state of balance. The reason why we can't do exercises, the reason why we can't feel certain parts of the body, the reason why we can't balance is because the Vyana is imbalanced. So we are losing motor and sensory nerves, for example, control, right? So Vyana is that which controls all nerve endings in a simple way. In a more abstract way, it is all the nadis and the cleansing of the nadis, they're all blocked, and therefore the communication doesn't take place. And therefore Vyana vayu has to be brought in place. Vyana vayu controls all parts of the body. So you had prana, you have apana, you have samana, you have vyana, and the last one is udana. Now Udana vayu is a very sacred vayu. Udana vayu only operates in this region, in the region of the throat. Udana vayu is where your consciousness goes beyond all the other elements. Now when does that happen? When you don't think of food, when you don't think of sleep, when you don't think of being happy or sad, you're just so completely absorbed in what you're doing, something that you like. Let's say it's painting or singing or dancing or cooking or video games. Not video games, sorry. Sorry Ashwin. I'm kidding. But something that you become so absorbed in what you like when you do something, whatever it is, pure creative energy flowing, that is Udana vayu. So that's why I said when in meditation or when in bhajans, you'll not just feel upbeat, sometimes you'll just close your eyes and water starts coming in your eyes and you feel completely like your body is floating. Udana vayu becomes operative. There you become one with that bhajan, you become one with that music. Music does that to you, right? So Udana vayu is that vayu which is a very powerful vayu. In fact, Patanjali in Patanjali Yoga Sutras talks very highly about the vayu. He talks about meditating upon the Udana vayu. The way to meditate upon Udana vayu, Swami has given us the path. How? Chanting Om. That's why, without explaining all this, he said get up in the morning and chant Om 21 times. Because what you do first thing in the morning is you activate the highest energy center in your body, the Akasha. Akasha is the lightest of all the elements. Akasha is space. Space has you can't limit space. You can build walls and say this space is small, that space is big. That's only relative, right? Space by itself has no limitations. So here is where your consciousness can exceed beyond limitation. That's why creativity comes in. In a flash you get an idea, intuitively, like aha moments come here, the bulb goes. It's all Udana vayu in operation. So Udana vayu is something that's operated with sound. So Omkar practice is one of them. And there are other breathing exercises that activate Udana vayu. So you have these 5 vayus working with the elements. Udana vayu works with the space element, activated predominantly through sound. That's why when you practice pranayama and when you practice yoga, the only music you listen to is the music of your breath. That sound of your breath. As you listen, it activates the Udana vayu. And that Udana vayu starts pulling all these energies up. And your body becomes light, energetic, and all that. And that's why even aging comes gracefully and all that, because constant activation of Udana vayu keeps your body light and you feel upbeat all the time. That is what happens. So now how is this done in actual practice? Okay, this is all nice to hear in theory, right? Apana vayu works with water element, earth element, and Samana vayu works here. Prana is here, apana is here, samana is here, vyana is all over the body, and udana is here. Udana vayu, in fact, just as an FYI, the last breath that leaves the body, the sound in the throat as they call it, is that a medical term for it?
No, there's a different term for it. It's called, in medicine they call it death rattle.
Death rattle, yeah. The rattle, correct. The death rattle. That they say the Udana vayu escapes, and Udana vayu therefore in yogis, and you don't have to necessarily make sense out of this at this point, but it's just a FYI, like I said. The Udana vayu carries the soul with it. The jiva goes along with the Udana vayu out of the body at that moment, or when the rattle comes, because Udana vayu is what leaves the body at that point. So this is how the yogis determine, and so therefore, having said that, Udana vayu is where you can experience astral travel, you can experience out-of-body experiences, you can experience all of that. But this is, like I said, it's only FYI at this point. So now what happens in meditation? What are we trying to do with yoga? Why is yoga, and as I said, discovering your inner potential, understanding your inner divinity, is in yoga, what your aim is to, the earth and water element that is dragging your consciousness down, that is pulling your energy down, you want to reverse the flow and raise it up. Otherwise you're going to be lazy, you're going to be slow, you're going to be caught up in this, right? Because the earth element, as Baba would teaches this, and this is all known in Vedanta. Baba only is re-emphasizing the earth element is connected to one of the sense organs. There are 2 sense organs that are connected in each element. Okay? When I talk of senses, there is karma indriyas and jnana indriyas. Senses of action, senses of perception. Correct? So earth element has 1 sense of action and 1 sense of perception. And similarly each one. So you have 10 senses, 5 senses of action and 5 senses of perception. The earth element is what? Earth, matter. There is something to feel, right? So sense of action that is connected with this is the anus. So when we pass stools, when we pass fecal matter, that is actual matter going out of a body. So that's connected with the earth element. Of course you might say, but what, when I fart, I pass gas, there's no matter. Yes, those are exceptions. But the truth is, most of the time the anus is meant to pass out fecal matter. It's matter you're dealing with, earth element. The sense organ that is connected, the sense of perception, jnana indriya, which jnana indriya is connected to the earth. And these are 5 of them. What are they? They're the sense of hearing, seeing, smelling, tasting and touching, right? Which of these 5 elements do you think is connected to earth? Touch. Smell. Why? Because when you smell, you can only smell that which is actually physically existing. Water has no sense of smell. Water doesn't smell, right? Of course, when it's dirty water, yes it does. But not, water by itself has no smell. Fire, does it have smell? No. What about wind? No. Space, no smell. Smell cannot associate with any of the other 4 elements. Smell is only associated with something that's physically existing. When you enter a room and you smell something, you're like, oh my gosh, there's something here. You immediately know there is something like, right? When you smell vibhuti, you say, where's the vibhuti? So I can smell vibhuti. There must be somewhere here. It must have manifested. So you smell, then you look for the matter. Smell is always associated with matter. So that is a sense of smell. In pranayama, in meditation, we use the sense of smell to go inside. Smell is a vehicle that takes your consciousness inside. When you breathe in, only you smell, right? In the smell lies your consciousness. That is why they would pay a lot of attention in those days as to what kind of incense sticks they would burn. If you heard of sambrani? Yeah. Sambrani, frankincense, and perhaps sage. I have not experimented with sage, but frankincense, sambrani, these are all smells that will help your consciousness to go within. It's got a very medicinal taste. Again, it's all open to practice. So you take your consciousness and go within. So earth element is associated with these 2 sense organs. Water element is associated with 2 sense organs. The organ of procreation and the sense of taste. You see, tongue is always soaked in water, right? If you have a dry tongue, you can't taste anything. That means you are either dead or you are really sick. So you can't taste anything. So taste comes when this mouth is full of saliva, right? So taste is directly related to water element. Now imagine between taste and smell, our consciousness could be rooted down. So in yoga, what happens is you try to revoke those energies and make it go up. So what happens is there is a bandha. When you sit down for meditation, the first thing, let me pause there for a second, or let me finish these other senses and then come back to this actual meditation. Okay, so the third one is the Samana vayu, the Agni. There are 2 senses. One is, the Agni means tejas or light or fire. The sense organ among this is which one? The eyes. Because when there is light only you can see something. So eye is directly related to Agni. If you want to improve your eyesight, pay attention to what you eat. Whatever goes in here determines the strength of your sight physically, the strength of your perception. If you want to be optimistic in your outlook, if you want to be self-confident in your outlook, watch the health of this Agni maintains everything out here, right? And the other sense of action is what? Feet. It's strange that the element of fire is linked to feet. The bottom of your feet, not legs. The whole of leg is earth element, but the bottom is, there is fire here. That is why they tell you to do exercise. Because when you do exercise and move your feet, what happens? Your body heats up. Correct? So, and look at this. Below the earth there is fire. What happens when you dig into the actual earth? What is there in the core of the earth? Is it cold? It's fire. Our body is a reflection of what you see outside. And therefore the yogis, by understanding this, they understood what is going on in all the 5 elements. So in order to keep this fire healthy, there are 2 things. One is, I have to keep this fire active. That's why when you go out in the cold, you could have the most expensive jackets and the great looking cap and all of the stuff, gloves and all of that. But what happens if your feet is naked? You think you're going to be warm? No. Because your warmth escapes from your feet, and the feet can keep you warm. So when somebody is cold, what happens? You take the feet and start rubbing the feet. You create warmth in the feet because that generates warmth in the body. So there is fire under your feet. That is why that generates, again, brings Samana Vayu. Same thing, Apana Vayu, there are 2 elements. One is the sense of touch. Now comes the sense of touch. Vayu. Prana Vayu is associated with touch. When somebody is alive or dead, what do? You touch them. You want to awaken and shift that consciousness from deep sleep to awaken, you touch them to wake them up. Correct? Touch is very important. So touch is sense of touch, and hands. Hands represents Vayu. When you feel hot, what do? Oh my gosh, this is so hot. You first start moving your hand. You don't move your feet. Oh, it's hot. Do you do that? Or you do this. You do this, right? Generally, or even if you have a piece of paper, you do this. So hand represents Vayu. The sense of touch represents Vayu. And the last one is the sense of space. Hearing. Hearing. And the sense of action is mouth. Mouth and hearing. Because mouth produces sound. And the ear hears it. So sound and hearing go hand in hand for the Akasha element. The whole of yoga is to reverse these energies and make it flow upwards, because they know that consciousness can experience reality only through these instruments that are given to us. This is what the universe is made up of. These 5 elements, these 5 vayus in my body. So how can I use these elements to experience my inner divinity? These all exist. Okay, the vayus exist, right? These cause different pressures. So how can I reverse that pressure? So how can I take the earth element and water element, which is predominantly weighing my consciousness down? How can I reverse it and take it into take it upwards? What can turn fire upwards? Fire is water is always going down. What can make water go upwards? I just used that word. What can make water go upwards? What makes the ocean water go up? Does the water in the ocean go up? As goes up as what? Water vapor. What causes water vapor? Sun. In other words, heat. Right? Can earth go up? You can burn earth, right? You burn wood. Don't you burn wood? So when you burn wood, earth is going up in the form of smoke. Water vapor and earth can be moved up by fire. And so in yoga, and this is the real part of yoga, the beauty about it is, how do I take this consciousness and move it upwards? Because only then I can begin to understand the depth of who I am. Because I want to finally go into Udana, vayu and the third eye. That's where it is. So how do I actually practice it? So the point is, and I know these things might appear, my God, I'd rather just sing a couple of bhajans once a week. Seems to be so complicated. That's why some of you may be thinking, and it's okay to think like that. But then once you tap into these energies with practice, you'll be amazed at what kind of treasures lie within you, and you're able to tap into that divine source, which is unending in its capacity to give. We are talking of true awakening of spirituality. Okay? So there are bandhas that reverses this energy. There are practices, physical practices, that you can cause to stop the flow going downwards. First you tackle the earth and the water element. That is why in a traditional yoga practice, the first few weeks or the first few months or the first stages of yoga, you begin to strengthen these parts. Because if these are weak, now it makes physical sense also, right? My lower back is weak and all that. So I explained that in the asanas part. Now coming to the yoga part. If your hip begins to move, that means the Muladhara is ready to move upwards. The water element is getting churned, so we now creating heat, you can move it upwards. So that is very, very important. That is happening at a very deeper level in yoga. And that is why at the end of yoga, Patanjali could have just asked Yama, Niyama and Asana, he stopped there. But he went into Pranayama and then went into Pratyahara, because he knows energy is now going upwards. Use it and go inside. So after the asana practice, you have loosened up the hip and created the warmth in the body, the fire is burning, the fire begins to burn the water and the earth element, and the consciousness begins to move up. So you begin to feel upbeat, light, optimistic at the end. That is the effect of consciousness going up. When you're lazy and tired and depressed and oh no, not today, again. So all that is energy pulling you down, weighing you down. You want to raise it up. So in practice, therefore, now we come to meditation. Having understood this basic thing. I know I just rushed through it, but we'll probably touch upon it again and again. It's important for us to understand the concept of 5 elements, 5 vayus, and the 10 sense organs, how they're all connected. Guess what? In all of this, we're not talking about the mind at all. Because meditation in yoga, don't worry about the mind. Mind is a product of all these sense organs. If the senses are controlled, guess what happens to the mind? It will automatically be controlled. Don't worry about the mind. We are forgetting the senses and we are trying to struggle with the mind. But then you're not going to what is causing this mind to be upset? It's the senses. So how can I control? And what does senses mean? Elements. Right? If my tongue, I'm not able to control my tongue, means my water element I'm not controlling the water element in my body. And vice versa. If I have sugar problem, diabetes, if I have kidney problem, if I have urinary tract problem, all of this is imbalance of water element. Water element can be always controlled through the tongue. Always. Diabetes, sugar and diabetes, keep away from sweets, directly an attack on the tongue. That is the connection. Because when they say don't eat sweets, and that is one side, the other side is they're saying control the water element in your body. So there are various ways in practice in yoga to control the water element. So predominantly our consciousness today is the water and the earth element. Earth element deals with matter, matter deals with fear, insecurity, it keeps you rooted down, right? Water element is directly related to sensory experiences, causing constantly the mind to be in a state of tumult. What do I see? What do I eat? How do I taste? And what do I listen to? I want something nice to listen to. I want something nice to see, something nice to touch. It's always, so that's water, constantly water, water, water. So if I can control the water and earth element and begin to bring it into fire, then my consciousness begins to move on. That is what the practice of yoga meditation is. Okay? How do we do that? First of all, we learn how to sit in meditation. Now, there are various methods to sit, and it doesn't have to be that you have to sit on the ground. That's the good news. Okay? The most important thing is the spine should be straight. So if you are sitting, and let's say I've got this fantastic chair, and it's Shasta's chair, right? Or is it yours? Shasta's. Okay. So even if I'm sitting on a chair, rather than, I can't meditate like this. I know people like to meditate like this. Oh, it's okay, just relax. That is relaxation. That is having a great time. You're listening to soft music, I'm meditating, man, it's cool. No, you're not, you're having a good time. But in Hatha Yoga, it's not called meditation. So I'm giving you a Hatha Yogic perspective, right? Hatha Yoga is not meditation. Why? Because the spine cord is gone to sleep. So the most important thing, in order for the energies to move up, the consciousness to move up, they say the passage is in the spinal cord. Man is the only species that has a spinal cord straight. So Baba would say even devas have to take birth as a human being to experience this bliss that you and I have this capacity to experience. Even devas don't experience that because they don't have this body to experience it. So that is why, when you perform, these are all again things which I can't prove to you, but then they say depending on your life you go and live in a Devaloka for some time and then come back again, because ultimately unless we realize our own divinity, this provides that scope. The spinal cord within has tremendous amount of, there's a beautiful passage inside providing the potential for your consciousness to go. So important thing is keep it straight so that consciousness will rise without any impediments. It's not wrong to do like that, but you will not experience anything because you'll go to sleep. It's a matter of time before you drift into sleep. Or you drift into la la land. You'll be like that, oh, I won that lottery, I bought this ship, I went on a cruise, oh, fast asleep. But this way, you have no time, there's alertness. The mind is alert and balanced. So imagine in yoga when we practice, we're coming back into this. we're carrying that same stiram and sukham experience in each pose. I'm coming and bringing that into this. So the first thing is the spine should be straight. Now even if I'm sitting on a chair, I can keep it straight, right? What happens to those of us who say, yeah, I'm progress, I can sit on the ground? Let me burst your bubble. So when you sit on the ground like this, fully on the ground, it's a bad habit. You were not meant to sit like this. You cannot meditate for long like this. Watch what is happening. I start like this, 3 ohms, Ganesha bhajan is over. After a while, it's not natural for you to sit straight like this in the ground. So then what is natural? Natural is your butt is always at a height. You always sit, that's why they used to sit in what is called a palha, on a piece of stone, a brick or a pillow. So if you're going to sit on the ground, I'm going to grab, I don't have, I can roll up my mat, or I can make a fairly thick cushion, not those nice lovely cushions which you sit and it goes almost flat, not those, because that will again take your hips down. So your hip is always at least 3 inches from the ground. So you sit, place your hip on that, and now when you sit, what happens is your back is automatically straight. And I can sit like this for 2 hours and I can get up without my feet getting numb at all, because my feet are at lower place than my hip, so the blood continues to flow. Right? There's continuous flow. It comes with practice again. So you have to learn to get something or sit on something that is slightly higher, where your glutes are at a higher level than your feet, and you're able to sit like this. So another way to sit like this is a little more advanced, but you can sit in Vajrasana. Vajrasana, like you sit with your feet like this and your hips apart. The only thing is, because we're not used to it, after a while, in about 5 minutes, your ankles start hurting, so you can't sit for very long. But Japanese use this for Japanese, if you see Zen meditation, people who practice Zen and Buddhism, they are comfortable sitting like this simply because they practice to sit like this. Here what happens, watch again here, because my heels are supporting my lower back, it is pushed slightly forward and I can very comfortably sit straight. Correct? So the most important thing, and therefore if you're sitting on the chair, you can sit towards the edge of the chair, you'll automatically sit straight. Right? Or a lower stool like this. So that is the most important thing. Your lower back should be pushed forward like this, slightly. So your spine will be slightly like this, pushed slightly forward, it will be straight. If it is leaning back, it will tend to pull your spine like this. You will start going like this. Right? Something has to push from the lower back. So try it, and if possible tomorrow, I would suggest you bring a towel with you. So you can roll a towel and sit, and we will see how a big difference it makes, because by the time it's a bath towel I'm talking about, not a small little hand towel. So if you roll it up and when you sit on it, immediately you'll get that height and you'll sit very comfortably and you'll be able to sit for long. Okay? So that is as far as the sitting posture is concerned. And then comes the most important bandha, and I'll come to the hands and all that. The bandha that is done to prevent the earth and water element from going down, it's called a bandha. Bandha means what? Bandha is a lock. Right? Bandh karo, we say, right, in Hindi. Bandha means lock. What are you locking? You're literally locking the energy of apana vayu from flowing it down. You're stopping it from flowing downwards. How do you stop it? It's called Mula Bandha. Mula Bandha is there's a small space in your body between the anus and the genitals. You pull that skin up from inside. Mildly you pull that skin up and hold it. Then you're actually locking the energies from going down. Okay? So I want you to try that. Sit straight with your legs crossed. And close your eyes and shift your awareness to the base of your spine. To that, it's called the perineum, space between the anus and the genitals, and gently pull that section up. You might feel your anal muscles contracting, and that's okay. That happens initially. That's another mudra called the Ashwini mudra, and that's okay initially, but slowly you learn to isolate. and you'll learn to hold that muscle up, and that becomes the Mula Bandha. As you breathe in and out, and relax. Open your eyes. So that is the first thing. Now all this is open to practice. Okay, this is not a matter of belief at all. It's a matter of practice. If you're depressed, especially people who are depressed, feeling lazy, just applying Mula Bandha alone is very powerful. In fact, it has tremendous power to help with epilepsy and all of that stuff. But all this is preventive in nature. If you see yoga scriptures, they'll say all of this will prevent all of this. It never says it cures. It says prevent, prevent, prevent. So this is a very powerful practice. So when you hold that lock, you're actually locking Apana Vayu from going down. But then now what happens? Apana Vayu is locked. So how does it move upwards? So that is why we slowly pull the stomach in. Because in stomach pulled in is called another bandha. Now Mula Bandha is done, Apana Vayu is blocked. But now what is going to pull it up? The fire has to pull it up. Fire has to burn, right? So in order for the fire to go and burn it and pull it up, we call the next bandha is called the Uddiyana Bandha. Uddiyana Bandha is, I just had tea so I can't show it today, but tomorrow before beginning of the class I'll demonstrate. Uddiyana Bandha is where the normal Uddiyana Bandha, where you breathe out fully, holding the breath out, you pull the stomach in completely, almost up, and diaphragm is squeezed all the way. You'll see the ribs and completely flat in. So that is pulling the energy up. You're blocked it here and you're pulling it up. And that is what causes the energy to move up. Now, we will practice that as part of the cleansing thing. But here, what happens is, in meditation, we don't have to do that extreme. In meditation, no, don't do it now, just relax. In meditation, what we do, meditation, and pay attention, it's very important to understand. Mild Mula Bandha and mild Uddiyana Bandha. Because in Asana, that is why I said, holding a stomach in is a mild Uddiyana Bandha. That rather than stomach falling out, hold it in. When you hold it in, you're activating the fire element in your body. When the fire element is activated, it will go down and start pulling consciousness up. That is the yogic perspective. Even from a physical perspective, when you practice pulling a stomach in and you'll work on all these muscles. You can kind of keep them toned and you won't have a flabby stomach because you learn to pull that in, right? So that is, even at a physical level, even if you don't want to believe in all of this, at the very least you'll still get a benefit of trying to practice with asanas, pulling a stomach. So when I practice, let's say asana like this, watch my stomach. If I do this, my stomach is out like this. So lot of strain, I pull stomach in, now I breathe. And in these poses, I also apply slight Mula Bandha. So now if I say, stand in pose, we breathe in and out, apply Mula Bandha, you're going to pull the perineum muscles up. And slight Uddiyana, you're going to pull your stomach in. And in poses, when you start doing this, it may not make sense in 1 or 2 days because there are so many other, like I said, first of all, you learn to balance. We are focusing on all this. So let all that fall in place. In the meantime, you learn to keep your stomach pulled in. Once you start getting the balance, and each pose, you apply Mula Bandha and Uddiyana Bandha, mild Uddiyana Bandha. Then you begin to experience a state of high. At the end of the yoga practice, your body will feel like floating. It's an amazing thing, and then you sit down for meditation and do the same bandhas again in place. So when you sit for meditation, now with Mula Bandha, what we will do is we will apply mild Uddiyana Bandha. Mild Uddiyana, what does Uddiyana means? Uddiyana means fly up. So Uddiyana is making, what is flying up? The energy of the earth and the water is flying up. Now when we learn proper Uddiyana, and I really want the children to learn it, it's the greatest gift you can give yourself. All of us, of course. It's the greatest gift. Why? Because think of what happens in Uddiyana Bandha at a physical level. When you breathe out and pull the stomach in, and I'll show it to you tomorrow, when you do that, okay, here's a question before I explain that. You have the thoracic cage here, right? Is there any exercise, any way you can massage your own heart physically? Is there any way can you massage your own heart? Heart, the muscle, literally. Can you massage your biceps? You can, right? That's a nice tune. Burst chirping and all that. Anyway, so can you massage your biceps? You can, right? Any external muscle. How about massaging the heart? Literally, can you squeeze? There is one exercise, and that is Uddiyana Bandha. Uddiyana Bandha physically squeezes your heart, and when it releases it, imagine all the arteries and everything it keeps your heart in the best shape possible. How is that done? Because when you breathe out and pull your diaphragm up, from underneath and from inside, there is space to reach the heart. So when you pull the diaphragm up, the heart has no place to go, so it gets squeezed. And the more you're able to flatten your stomach and pull it up, the more the heart is squeezed. And you release. This is an amazing exercise to maintain. It doesn't matter whether you're genetically prone to heart problems and all that. This will keep all of that in bay if you learn it properly. Now it becomes more difficult at an older age when we have a lot of flap to first get rid of. But then we can start practicing. And there is Agni Sara, another powerful exercise. We're going to learn that tomorrow as well. So when you do Agni Sara, there again it increases the fire in the body. Now increasing the fire doesn't mean you'll have hyperacidity. All of these practices are bringing balance back. Hyperacidity could be two. One could be excess fire in your system, or it could be no fire in your system. Both can cause hyperacidity. So in all these practices of yoga with the bandhas, it brings these elements back into balance. Ha, ta means ha and ta comes in balance. The sun and the moon energy comes in balance. The masculine, the feminine energy comes in balance. Right side is the sun, left side is the moon. Right side heats up the body, left side cools the body. Hatha Yoga practice brings it in balance. How does it bring it in balance? When you practice asana with the bandhas, it will come in balance. When you practice meditation with the bandhas, you use that effect of the asana and you raise the consciousness and move it up. I hope I'm making sense. But if not, we are recording this, right? I mean, it's worth listening to it again, making some notes, because it's important for us to ponder. There was a whole different way the yogis looked at the body. And health and other things, they said, "Worry, all that will come, don't worry. First focus on the greatest treasure that's lying within you. Understand that you have a connection to this cosmos and you can tap into a universal wisdom. So how about doing that? Why are you living in this limited consciousness that I am this, I am that? You are a lot more than that. But how do you experience it? This is how they teach you, and they say practice, 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 and you'll begin to experience it. Okay? So a mild Uddiyana and a mild Mula Bandha will begin to activate the Samana, the Agni element. And it slowly begins to burn, because in meditation you can't do intense practices. There are intense practices, but we learn that slowly. But at this point, just to bring to our conscious mind that I'm performing Mula Bandha and Uddiyana Bandha. So the third thing that you do in meditation when you sit is, alright, before we go to the third thing, why don't we just try this? We'll sit straight again, cross-legged. And don't worry about how your hands should be and all at this point. We'll come to that in a bit. Sit straight, close your eyes. And as you breathe in, whenever you breathe in, pull and do the Mula Bandha. Pull the perineum muscles up. The Mula Bandha is formed. And then as you breathe out, gently pull the stomach in. And hold the stomach. Stomach muscles are fairly tight. Just slightly pull it in and then breathe in and out through the chest. Keep the Mula Bandha and the Uddiyana Bandha intact. Mildly. Mild Mula Bandha, mild Uddiyana Bandha. You can open your eyes slowly. So, we had two bandhas in place. Mula Bandha, Uddiyana Bandha. And I'm focusing on keeping those two bandhas in place. Right? So it's like this village kid was growing up in the village. The mother said, you're growing up now, you have to learn to help me. Come to the river and start helping me with carrying the water from the river. So first she gives this kid one pot. She says, okay, daily come help me with one pot. And the kid struggles first few days, and then it's very comfortable carrying that one pot. And then the next day the mother gives this child another pot, carry two. and then place it on your head and carry. So slowly this will come with practice. The first time just holding Mula Bandha itself is, oh my God, by the time I think of Uddiyana Bandha, the Mula Bandha is gone. And by the time I think of Mula Bandha, Uddiyana is gone. Now I apply both, I'm struggling to breathe. Now how the heck is all this? So it seems so difficult. But it's a matter of practice. Remember, trust me, it's only a matter of practice. Because you are truly trying to experience that stillness. And it comes with practice. The third bandha, therefore, now there are only three big bandhas, main bandhas that we need to do. Mula and Uddiyana. And the third bandha is Jalandhar, where as you sit for meditation, your neck is slightly bent forward. Like this, slightly bent forward. Not all the way down, but just slightly bent forward. You're not sitting straight, but slightly bent forward. So there were days in Puttaparthi when I was bumping into these practices and people were teaching me, and I used to always sit straight and meditate. And Baba, every time he comes from behind me, he will tap me on my head or gently push it down and go. And I would feel at one point, Arey, Baba, I'm meditating. What are you just pushing like this? I'm supposed to be sitting straight. But then I asked my yoga teacher, why is Swami constantly pushing it? He said that you have to do mild Jalandhar Bandha also. You're doing the other Bandha, but your Jalandhar Bandha is not there. So mild Jalandhar Bandha really brings your mind into a state of reverence and helps you prepare your mind for meditation. Now, so Jalandhar Bandha, what does Jalandhar Bandha do now? Jalandhar Bandha is important, Jalandhara. Now, when you meditate, the brain begins to secrete hormones. Maybe call it serotonin or dopamine or whatever, right? In yoga, they call it the nectarine somarasa. That means the energy from the brain that's giving you that sense of happiness. So you don't want that to get mixed with the blood and drawn. So you block. So holding that experience here, because that's what the whole idea of meditation is, to experience that. So you want to hold it here. So you block so that the fire does not burn this experience. So you do Jalandhar Bandha, Mula Bandha and Uddiyana Bandha. So in holding Jalandhar Bandha is the easiest to hold, right? The Uddiyana and the Mula Bandhas are tough. And then comes, so this is Asana and Bandhas. We have touched upon Asanas and Bandhas. Okay? So what we will do now in the course of next 5 minutes or so, we're going to try out this ABC of Hatha Yoga meditation. Like I said, there are so many aspects to it. We'll stop here at this point and we'll just try it out. So let's sit straight. And if you sat down too long, if you feel uncomfortable, you've got chairs to sit as well. Make sure that your spinal cord is straight. Come. Sit cross-legged. Or anyhow, you want to sit in Vajrasana, you can. Sure, very good. Sit straight. Good. Good. Don't worry about hand positions at this point. We'll talk about mudras tomorrow. So, gently close your eyes. And make a mental observation of your body structure. Your spine is straight, comfortable, shoulders are relaxed. And then, as you breathe and perform the Mula Bandha, mild and hold it there. As you breathe out, gently pull your stomach in, because that is the best time to pull your stomach in. Do a few breaths in and out as you hold these bandhas in place, these two bandhas. Mild Mula Bandha, mild Uddiyana. Breathing in and out through the chest. And then gently bring your head down. Slightly. State of reverence. Your chin pointed towards the chest. Go back to Mula Bandha. If it is lost, hold the Mula Bandha back again. Hold Uddiyana, hold Jalandhara. It's called Bandha Traya, 3 bandhas in place. Just focus on these bandhas alone at this point, assuming your spine is still straight. Observe the quality of your Mula Bandha. The perineum muscles are slightly pulled in. Observe the quality of your Uddiyana Bandha, stomach slightly pulled in. And Jalandhar Bandha, head slightly bent forward. Holding these three bandhas in place, shift your awareness to your breath. Observe the breath coming in and leaving your body. Is your Mula Bandha in place? Is Uddiyana Bandha in place? Slightly pulled in stomach. Don't overexert. Go back to the breath. Is your spine in upright position? Observe the breath leaving the body. But as the breath leaves the body, hold on to the Mula Bandha. Don't let the Mula Bandha relax. When you breathe in, use your chest to breathe in because Uddiyana is in place. All right, gently take a deep breath. As you breathe out, relax all the three bandhas. Just sit simply with your eyes closed for a couple of minutes more. And with your eyes closed, just process the information that you heard. Maybe it was a lot to take in at one shot. Think of the 5 elements in your body: the earth, the water, the fire, the wind, and space. Think of the apana vayu that exerts its pressure downward, pressuring earth and water to always flow downwards, and thus your consciousness tied to these elements take it down. Think of the fire element in the pit of your stomach and the Samana vayu that distributes the pranic energy that comes in through food. Think of the vayu element in the region of your chest, the lungs, and the breath that comes in carries with it prana. Breath is a vehicle of prana. So when you breathe and feel the life force of the universe coming in. And then think of the space element in the region of your throat. And think of sounds that interact with the space element. Sounds, in other words, words that can limit your thinking, or sounds that can release your thinking. That is how powerful sounds are. And that is why Baba would say, don't criticize, don't use negative words, don't curse. Because sounds create a reality for you. Space holds all the other 5 elements. Without space, none of the other elements would exist. In other words, without sound, sound is what creates your reality. Say positive things. Think positive things. Thoughts are also forms of sound. And that is why it is said the name of God is most powerful, because that is creating a sound of divine energy. And that reality that you associate with that name, be it Rama or Krishna or Om, that reality begins to manifest itself. And when you think of these things, the Udana vayu becomes active. We'll end this short session with an Om and 3 Shantis. Take a deep breath. And as you breathe out, simple Om. Om. Gently open your eyes. So in Hatha Yoga, the practice of meditation, therefore, now what did we do is, we touched upon the breath. So we touched upon from asana to pranayama, but from pranayama, pratyahara happened. Pratyahara is what? I became fully engrossed in what was happening within me, correct? I was caught up with bandhas, breath, I was focusing on bandhas, and going back to the breath, focusing on my body. So my senses were withdrawn. There were sounds coming from outside, but that didn't seem to bother me much because I was more caught up in this. So pratyahara happened. So Patanjali is yama, niyama, asana, pranayama, pratyahara, and then dharana. I began to focus. How's the Mula Bandha? How's this? So my concentration became more and more focused inside. That is the beauty of Hatha Yoga practice. Now you would say, where will this lead to? I would say this is the goal. To hold your mind here. This will slip into dhyana and samadhi. Those are two steps, dhyana and samadhi, which are not taught. You know, it's like you can take your child to the bed and sing a lullaby, tell a story, do everything, but you can't make the child go to sleep. You can't. That is not under your control. Why child? You can't yourself control. Okay, at this moment I'm going to fall asleep. Wait, watch. No, it's not going to happen. You can't. But what you do is you read a book or you close your eyes and hoping it will come. And then you fall asleep. That's not in your control. So similarly, dhyana and all of that, the dhyana, meditation, is you fall into it. When your job is just keep focusing this. And then comes the mudras. Where is my eyes? How is my breath? So holding so asana you have, then you have bandhas. We learned about bandhas today. Tomorrow we'll learn about mudras. We'll add on top of bandhas, we add mudras. And then on top of mudras we have the pranayama, the breath ratio. So now your mind is caught up between asana, pranayama, bandha, mudras. Oh my God, one comes, the other one goes off. It's like learning to drive. I was telling somebody today that I learned driving at the age of 34 because until then I was in the ashram. I didn't have to drive. So when I came out and they said you have to do this, in those days, you have this manual clutches, right? So you got to let go of the clutch, you look at this mirror, and you know how it is in India. At least most of you know how it is in India. You can't afford it. It drove me crazy trying to understand, oh my God, how many things can I focus on? But then it was a matter of practice. The more I drove, the more comfortable I became. I was able to hold conversations while driving through crazy traffic, through vendors, bullock carts and auto rickshaws and everything. And I could even sing while doing it. You see? How is that happening? It's practice. So same thing here. It's very easy to get tempted to say, this is crazy. It's not what I'm looking for. It's okay to try and it's okay to give up. But I'm saying, if only you practice, it's a matter of time before you'll be able to hold all of this. And your mind goes between these small little things, bandhas, mudras, pranayama, and the mind is slowly just subtle things. That is when you become aware of the subtle changes in your body, subtle movements in your body. You begin to become aware of something which is very divine. And that is what we practice. How long should I practice? When should I practice? So after asana, sit down, try it for a few minutes. Even if it's 5 minutes, try it for 5 minutes. Doesn't matter. Slowly you will get drawn and it will be like a whole world opens up inside. And before you know, you would have said 20 minutes has passed by. I've just hardly begun to practice it. That is the beauty of it. It becomes, you learn to absorb, you learn to slow down your mind, you allow the brain to think, to say it's okay to be slow and let the brain perceive something in slow motion, what's going on inside your body. Right? We don't practice it outside, no? Our brain is so stimulated in the outside world. We want fast moving screens in movies. We want music that is fast. We want everything that's fast, right? But when you go into meditation, it's exactly the opposite. And so it's a matter of training before you train your brain to understand. You become aware of subtle things. And then of course you have Baba who will guide you in ways it's incredible to even explain, how he begins to reveal himself to you, not outside somewhere, not through flashes of light and that, but an inner awareness that you begin to feel God is with me, truly with me and in me. And that confidence is what you can take on the whole world, because you know that God has got your back. That there is a divine energy. I'm using the word God loosely here, but that divine energy, which we call God or divine or Swami, that divine energy is what covers and got your back. And that is going to guide your actions and thoughts and words, and therefore there is nothing to fear. Fear goes away. You begin to lead the world. That is how in Vedanta, in the days of the old, in those olden days rather, for more than 4,000, 5,000 years, we were superpowers in the world, because they truly understood that inner reality and then carried on, right? Even Rama was sent to the teacher's hermitage to learn that. As children, they were first taught that. Initiated into Gayatri and gone and taught that. Go learn that. What? Learn the secret of the I within. And then with that knowledge come out and rule the world. Do whatever you want. But you do for the joy of it, not out of fear or greed or anxiety or because somebody else is doing it, I'm doing it, but because you feel you found a calling and you want to answer that call. And there's a divine energy that guides you. That's amazing how it happens. Alright. Any questions? Yes, please.